this week's newest edition of Whippet News, where we are throwing it back all the way to the 80s.
Hello everybody! Since us middle schoolers will hopefully never experience these crazy fads firsthand, we have some examples of 80s fashion for you today. Let's start off with what colors you'd usually be wearing. Girls usually ended up in pastel colors, the tough all-black ensemble, or some sort of metallic eye-popping material. Oh yeah, and the 80s rule for pants is that your pants must come up to about elbow length. But you do have the choice of tight and shiny or loose and dull. Did you think that shoulder pads were just for football players? Well, not in the 80s. You'd be surprised how many women had perfectly normal shoulders one minute and then irregular sized shoulders the next. Now for the guys. All I have is one word: overalls. I think that the 80s found a way to make everything imaginable neon. Are you a fan of golden chains? Well, you belong in the 80s. And I know you guys have been waiting for this. Parachute pants. Ah yes, the fashion genius MC Hammer's beautiful creation. Well, thanks for watching, and if you ever hear someone say, "Hey, let's bring the 80s back," do not go along with it, or this can happen to you. And if your parents haven't confiscated them yet for the sake of their own dignity, ask them to show you their 80s yearbook pictures. See ya!
Grace here, telling you about an awesome band. They're called the New Kids on the Block. They were a popular boy band from the 1980s. Okay, so anyways, they're all from Boston, Massachusetts. The band's original name was Nine. An interesting fact about them is they have a song on their album called Popsicle. None of the members have died yet, so maybe you can find them and meet them. They're all about 45 years old. They were very young when they started their band. One last fact about them is they have a song called Single. Hope you enjoyed learning about a 1980s boy band. See ya!
A shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist. Michael Knight. A young loner on a crusade to champion the cause of the innocent, the helpless, the powerless, in a world of criminals who operate above the law. When police officer Michael Long is betrayed and shot in the head during a stakeout, his life is saved when the bullet deflects off the metal plate in his skull, the result of an injury sustained in the Vietnam War. His face, however, is horrifically damaged. When he comes to, Michael learns that after being officially declared dead, he has been brought under the medical care of the Knight Foundation, a charity organization owned by billionaire Welton Knight. Knight explains that he is dying from a fatal disease, but hopes that his life's crusade of helping the helpless will live on in his new prestige. With the aid of reconstructive surgery, the young officer is given a new face and identity, that of Michael Knight. Access to an advanced prototype car equipped with an artificial intelligence named KIT. Knight Industries 2000, and offered a job fighting crime for FLAG, the Foundation for Law and Government.
Hi, I'm Nick, and today we'll be talking about some 80s technology. Number one, the Audio-Technica soundbar. It was a huge revolution for them in technology, but to us it's just a modernized record player. Then there was the Nintendo Power Glove. First motion controller, fit on your hand, really nothing else. Then there was the game we all love. It was invented in the 80s and it was horrible. The Nintendo Game Boy. It was the first handheld video game. All your PS Vitas today come from that. Then there was the Clapper. Okay, the beginning of Laser. Lights on. Then there was the Nintendo Entertainment System. Nintendo revolutionized the video game industry with this amazing video game. Super Nintendo Brothers was on this. Then there was the Sony Walkman TPS L2. It was the equivalent of an iPod today, and now we call it a kid's phone.
Hey, it's Macy and Ella here to talk about different television shows from the 80s.
The first show we are going to talk about is Full House.
This was a famous show that was made in the 80s.
The first episode of Full House was aired on September 22nd, 1987.
In this show, a man named Danny Tanner is left to take care of his 3 daughters after his wife's sudden death.
After her death, Danny's brother-in-law and his best friend come to live with them and help take care of the girls.
The last episode of Full House was aired on May 23rd, 1995.
The next TV show we are going to talk about is Alf.
This was also a famous TV show that was made in the 80s.
The first episode was aired on September 22nd, 1986.
This show is about a furry alien that comes to live with the Terran family after crashing into their garage.
The last episode of ALF was aired on March 24th, 1990.
Thanks for watching. Hi, this is AJ and Josh bringing you the fast facts on the 80s.
NASA's first space shuttle launched.
Pac-Man is introduced into the USA.
4 movies thrived in the 80s.
McDonald's Chicken Nuggets were introduced.
80 cell phones weighed 20 pounds.
Red Bull was introduced in the 80s.
Mount St. Helens erupted in the 80s.
The 5th episode of Star Wars was made.
The Challenger blew up shortly after takeoff.
Super Mario Bros. Was created.
Thriller came out in 1987.
Batman came out defeated.
The Goonies came out in 1985.
Hey, this is Christian here with the coolest and weirdest products from the 1980s. There were some pretty wacky things in the 80s. And first up, did you know that the CD was invented in 1982? Before then, people used these ancient things called records to play music. Records were about 3 times as large as today's CDs, so this invention was definitely an improvement. However, now with iTunes, CDs are becoming more and more obsolete. Another product that came out in the 80s was the Cabbage Patch Kids. You've probably heard of these different looking dolls, as they are still pretty popular with young girls. They were created by Xavier Roberts, a high school art student. In 1983, these dolls were the toy to have. Our last iconic product from the 80s is the My Little Pony franchise. Introduced in 1981, My Little Pony, like Cabbage Patch Kids, were huge and still are a big thing now. New figurines and episodes are still being created today, and many of the characters have been updated and changed. Well, that's all from me. Hope you enjoyed this, and trust me, there are way more iconic products besides these from the 1980s. See you next time.
Hi, this is Mason, and I'm here to tell you about the 1980s TV show Transformers. This show began in 1984 and ended in 1987 and created a movie in 1986. There are tons of Autobots and Decepticons, so I'm only going to name the main ones: Shockwave, Wheeljack, Soundwave, Ratchet, Ironhead, Starscream, Bumblebee, Megatron, and Optimus Prime. This TV series started a legacy for all the Transformers movies and have been made in the past 7 years.
The Last Apprentice, Book 11, is about a Z-Day mage named Slither who takes 3 girls after their father dies because of a promise he made with the girl's dad. In turn for taking the 2 younger sisters to their aunt and uncle's house safely, Slither will get the older sister and can do as he pleases with her. At first, the girls are terrified of Slither, then slowly accept that he will bring them across the country. On the way there, they take a rest in a Kulak, a black tower that the Coal Blast people, the race that Slither is in, may take refuge. Later, once the girls are in their room, Slither must pay respects to the lord of the tower named Nunsi. So when Slither gets up to the top of the tower, he gets bit by a poisonous snake that almost kills him. Later, Nessa, the older of the 3 sisters, gets pushed out of her room and are taken to the room that Slither is in. Nessa soon hears a scream coming from the wooden door across the room. She cuts herself to feed Slither so he can regain his strength and save her sisters. After Slither saves all of the sisters, he must go to his hometown to speak the truth after killing Nunsi, the High Mage, and the Shakisha assassin. For his trial, he must be put into combat with the 3 sisters to fight against the Hagenbud, a Hydra-like creature made for combat, and one scratch of the claw will give a painful death called the Tawani Death that has never been defeated. He then meets Grim Malcolm the Witch Assassin from the Malkin clan from Pendle, who offers help in defeating the Hagenbud as long as Slither returns her 3 things. First thing, her sheaths and blades. The second thing, a piece of Starstone. And the third thing, and which is the most important, is the Fiend, the Devil-Made Flesh, severed head. After Slither has retrieved these items, he releases Grim Malcolm from her prison. She then takes the spot of Nessa in the arena to help kill the Hagenbud. They soon kill the Hagenbud, but something horrible happens. Read The Last Apprentice 11, Slither by Joseph Delaney to figure out what happens.
Hi, this is Caitlin,
And this is Kale.
bringing you the top 10's 80s songs.
Number 10, Centerfold by Jay Gill's Band.
Number 9, Endless Love by Lionel and Diana Ross.
Number 8, Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler.
Number 7, So Emotional by Whitney Houston.
Number 6, Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses.
Number 5, With or Without You by U2.
Number 4, Jump by Van Halen.
Number 3, I Want to Know What Love Is by Ford.
Number 2, Eye of the Tiger by Survivor.
Number 1, Every Breath You Take by The Police.
Hey guys, this is your 6th grade student council representative bringing you some student council news. On the 19th, we would appreciate it if you wore your ugliest sweater. Whether it's one of Great Aunt Gertrude's creations or one you made especially ugly yourself. You can enter a contest in which one superior sweater genius from each grade will be given a prize. Also, starting this Monday, our representatives will be at lunch selling festive candygrams. You can buy these candy canes for 50 cents and add a Merry Christmas message. Just a heads up. Bye!